My name is Deborah, and I'm turning 33 this year. I work as a salesperson at a company. My husband's name is Jack, and we were high school classmates. This year is our 11th wedding anniversary. We started dating in high school and kept our relationship going even when we went to different colleges. Our feelings stayed strong, and we got married right after we graduated. Even after all these years, we still love each other very much. Soon after we got married, our first daughter, Melissa, was born. She's turning 9 this year. Now, I'm pregnant with our second child, and I'm excited about having a baby again. But this pregnancy has been different from my first one with Melissa. I've felt more tired, nauseous, and sleepy during work hours, which didn't happen before. I wondered if it was because I'm older now or because of the stress from work and taking care of Melissa. After using a home pregnancy test, I found out I was pregnant. With Melissa, I didn't have any major health changes, so I didn't even realize I was pregnant for a while. This time, the morning sickness is much worse. Working in sales has been hard with the morning sickness, so I decided to talk to my boss and take some days off to rest. When I talked to my husband about it, he remembered clearly how it was when Melissa was born. He seemed surprised and worried about how bad my morning sickness is this time. This time your morning sickness is really bad, huh? It's best if you take a break from work for a while, he said. The morning sickness is much worse than when I was pregnant with Melissa, and I feel awful. I want to take a break until I reach a stable period and can focus on my health and the baby's health. I hoped my health would get better after taking some days off, but the morning sickness didn't go away. It actually got worse, and staying at home didn't help at all. The symptoms are so bad that I can't do household chores and spend most of the day in bed. I really want to manage the household tasks, but I can't move around like I want to. The smell of the detergent makes me nauseous, so I can't even do the laundry. Jack was concerned at first, but now he seems frustrated with my condition. He might be thinking, since you're not working, at least handle the household chores, right? Unable to do the chores, I felt ashamed and sorry for Jack, who is busy with work. Jack has changed a lot since then. We used to hug every morning before he left for work, but now he leaves silently. Jack's been really busy with work, often coming home late because of overtime. He does tasks like document preparation, data entry, and phone calls at his job. Overtime has always been a part of his job, but after Melissa was born, he reduced it to spend more time with her. As dual income earners, he wanted to reduce my burden, so we split the chores evenly. But recently, he's not helping much, and the overtime has been constant. With me on leave and the reduction in income, Jack is working harder for our family. Maybe he wants me to handle all the household chores now. I understand his perspective, but with my morning sickness, I can't meet his expectations right now. One night, I gathered the courage to ask for his help. You've been working so hard lately, especially since I've taken leave. I'm sorry. Well, I have to earn more for the family, especially with the overtime, he replied. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry I can't do much housework. The morning sickness is severe, and the smell of detergents and meals makes me nauseous. Really? So can you please come home a bit earlier and help out with the chores? Once I feel better, I'll return to work. When Jack heard my plea, he looked unhappy. Don't we have our own rules? I'm working hard, even with overtime, to support the family. So, Deborah, please take care of the house. I understand, but you can't neglect household chores just because of your morning sickness. Jack suddenly raised his voice. Please lower your voice. Melissa might wake up. You're being too easy on yourself, Deborah. I'm also having a tough time working overtime nonstop. Even if your morning sickness is bad, please take care of the chores. Okay, I understand. I was being too easy on myself. Jack had never shown this much emotion before. I kept thinking if Melissa found out, it might hurt her feelings. I repeatedly apologized and tried to calm him down. However, my apologies didn't seem to pacify his anger. He went to our bedroom with a sullen face and disappeared. I had hoped to get his cooperation, even just a little, but I was disappointed that my husband wouldn't even listen to me. It was unusual for my usually calm husband to show such intense anger. I thought he might have some other concerns, and this made me feel uneasy. The next morning, I was awakened by the sound of the front door opening. It seemed my husband left for work earlier than usual. Maybe he didn't want to see me because of what happened last night. I was deeply hurt by his sudden rejection. Sighing and sitting down, I noticed Melissa had woken up and came down to the living room. Melissa seemed uncomfortable and sat next to me. "Mom, I heard the conversation between you and Dad last night." "Oh, you did?" Melissa must have been shocked to hear how my husband acted. As I tried to comfort her, Melissa looked at me sharply and said, "It's terrible that Dad wouldn't even listen. You are pregnant and suffering from morning sickness," and he was yelling, which is totally unlike him. It was scary. She then spread her arms out wide in disbelief. "Mom, rest up. I'll help out with the chores. I'm sorry I haven't helped until now." From that morning, Melissa started helping out with household chores. Since she learned how to do chores from a young age, I can rely on her confidently. I was really happy to see how kind-hearted my daughter had become. Since that argument, my relationship with my husband had been strained. He often left home early and came back late, and we hardly talked. With the birth of our second child approaching, I started to feel anxious. Just when I thought our relationship was beyond repair, Melissa shared some unexpected news. "Mom, something's wrong," she said one evening after school, looking pale. "Melissa, what's wrong? Are you hurt?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, I'm not hurt, but I feel sick." "What happened?" I asked. Melissa looked down, biting her lower lip, unsure if she should speak. "What happened?" "Calm down and tell me," I urged gently. Tears welled up in Melissa's eyes. On the way home from school, I saw Dad and Betty's mom kissing. "Really?" I asked in shock. Betty was a good friend of Melissa's and often played at our house. Melissa had witnessed her dad having an affair with Betty's mom. She sobbed into my chest. "Oh my God, calm down, honey," I said, hugging her gently. My husband, who I once thought was irreplaceable, became someone I hated instantly because of the affair. Unable to forgive him, I vowed to get revenge. I needed to gather evidence of his infidelity. I started investigating right away. I searched the rooms while my husband was away and found many receipts I had never seen before. My morning sickness had been so bad that I hadn't been able to clean up much, so he thought he could do whatever he wanted. I was furious at being so disrespected. I looked closer at the receipts and saw they were for expensive brand name bags and accommodations. I wondered whose money paid for these purchases. I gasped as I remembered something important. Determined to confirm the truth, I went to the bank despite being pregnant. It had been a long time since I left the house due to my morning sickness. The sunlight felt harsh and I wasn't feeling well, but I managed to make my way there. At the bank, my hands trembled from nervousness as I got out my passbook. The reality I was confronted with was something I wished I could avoid. I suspected the money was from our joint account. Jack and I had opened it after we got married to manage our finances. Both of our salaries went into this account, and we used it for living expenses and savings. We saved for our future, our children's education, and to buy our own home. This joint account was also used for Jack's frequent purchases of high-end items like designer bags on his credit card. This made me angry, but there was an even more shocking discovery. Even though Jack claimed he was working overtime, his salary hadn't increased. His company was known for being fair to employees, so his salary should have gone up with overtime hours. But despite his claims of working extra hours, his pay stayed the same. It became clear that his late returns home were because he was having an affair with Betty's mother. The lack of overtime pay proved that Jack wasn't working extra hours. While I was pregnant and feeling unwell, Jack offered no support and was having an affair. This left me deeply disappointed. One evening, while Jack was in the bath, I decided to check his smartphone. Trying not to alert him, my hands trembled as I entered the passcode. The phone unlocked easily. Jack probably thought my severe morning sickness made me less vigilant. His underestimation fueled my anger, but I kept calm and checked his phone. In the chat app, there were clear messages between Jack and Betty's mother confirming their affair. I told my wife I have overtime so we can meet tonight. Really? Can we meet tonight? I can't wait to see you. Their chats were full of heart emojis. If I still loved my husband, this betrayal would have driven me crazy. But since I no longer had feelings for him, I focused on gathering evidence calmly. I found out from their recent messages that they were planning a trip. The trip was scheduled to start that weekend and last a week, with plans for hiking and other activities. Jack had not informed me about this trip. I was curious to hear what excuse he'd give on the day of the trip, so I waited patiently. Finally, the morning of the trip arrived. Even though it was a holiday, my husband was very busy with preparations from early in the morning. "Good morning. What's got you so busy this early?" I asked. Caught off guard, my husband looked surprised. "Oh, well, you see, what are you doing up so early?" I woke up hearing some noise. "What's with the suitcase? Are you going on a trip?" "I have a company trip for a week starting today." "I thought I told you. Just wait, I'll buy you a nice souvenir." "Did you?" "Maybe I just forgot. My bad." Hearing the commotion, Melissa woke up too. She looked curious and, with a slightly dazed expression, spoke to her father. "Dad, what's happening? Are you leaving?" "He's going on a company trip. He'll bring back a souvenir, so let's look forward to it." "Got it. Can't wait for the souvenir." "Take care," Melissa said. With smiles, my husband left the house with a re-smile. After my blatantly lying husband left, Melissa and I looked at each other and burst into laughter. Dad's voice was shaking when he lied. Anyone could tell he was lying. After sharing a good laugh, we began discussing our next steps. "Okay, I'm about to discuss something important. Listen carefully. I'm thinking of getting a divorce. I believe it's crucial for you too, so I'd like to hear your thoughts." Melissa, being only 9, said, "I think it's better for you to get a divorce. I'm embarrassed and don't like having a father who cheats on Mom. I'm sure Betty would feel the same." "Did something happen with Betty too?" I asked. Melissa seemed concerned about Betty's situation. Betty's mom used to just relax at home and never did anything, but she suddenly disappeared, so Betty was really upset. Just as my husband betrayed our trust, Betty's mother also betrayed her daughter's trust. Hearing this, I felt strongly that there should be no compromise in taking revenge on them. Betty seems to be going through a lot too. We need to punish both of them. I felt a surge of motivation I never imagined before. With determination, I took action. First, to stop my husband from spending any money, I canceled our credit cards. Then I transferred half of the savings from our joint account to my own account to avoid disputes over property division in the divorce. Melissa and I started packing up our belongings. I had already explained the situation to my parents, so we decided to move back to their home. "Melissa, let me confirm once more. Once we divorce, we can't come back to this house. Are you really okay with that?" "Yes, I'm okay." "Then let's go to Grandpa and Grandma's house." "Yes, let's go quickly," Melissa said, filled with anticipation. She wasn't sad about the divorce, but rather cheerful, which put my mind at ease. We moved to my parents' house in high spirits. I decided to let go of the house filled with memories of my time with my husband and start a new chapter in my life. This decision came after discovering messages between my husband and Betty's mother. "Oh, I want to be free from that house as soon as possible. I want a divorce right away and live with you." It appeared that Betty's mother had already moved back to her parents' home, abandoning her family, including her young daughter, for an affair. I found out from the car navigation system history that my husband had visited Betty's mother's parents' house. I packed up my husband's belongings and sent them to that address. This way, he could live freely with Betty's mother. I also sent his valuables along with a letter to his company, since he insisted he was on a company trip. After emptying the house, I felt a weight lift off my heart and was ready to move forward. The next morning, I got an early call from my husband. "Dingra, I'm sorry. I'm running out of money. It looks like I forgot some cash at home." "Oh dear, that's a bummer. I'm really in a bind. Can you transfer some money to my account, even if it's just a little?" "Actually, things are a bit tight for me this month. Since you're on a company trip, maybe you can borrow from a colleague." "Well, about that, just explain your situation and borrow from your colleagues. I'm having severe morning sickness right now, and it's hard for me to talk." I'm hanging up. Wait, hold on. Felt a bit better knowing that my husband couldn't use his credit card anymore. It's easy to imagine that this made his pleasant trip with his mistress very tense. The phone calls from my husband didn't stop. I sent him a message saying I had severe morning sickness and couldn't answer the phone, telling him not to call me anymore. No matter how many times he called, I didn't answer. 5 days later, I got another call from him and reluctantly picked up. "Debra, why is the house empty? What's going on?" "Weren't you supposed to be on a trip for 7 days? Why are you back so soon?" He was initially speechless, but his anger quickly erupted. "Everything's gone. Even the contract has been terminated. Isn't that too selfish?" "Who's being selfish now? You were on a trip with your mistress, right? I sent all our stuff to Betty's parents' house and started the divorce proceedings. Everything's going according to your wishes. Goodbye and good luck." "What? You found out about the affair and you're divorcing me?" Realizing that I knew about his affair and who the other woman was, he was visibly shaken. Hung up and deleted all his contacts from my phone. With nowhere to go, my husband took refuge at Betty's parents' house. There, Betty's mother was kneeling with her head down. Across from her sat her parents, her husband, and Betty, all looking furious. Betty's mother had returned home claiming she couldn't bear emotional abuse from her husband. Her parents believed her and felt sorry for her, but the reality was different. When they found out she had been lying and having an affair, they couldn't forgive her. Betty's mother and my husband were severely reprimanded, made to sign divorce papers in front of everyone, and forced to pay compensation. Afterwards, her parents kicked them both out. Since returning to my parents' home, Melissa and I have been living freely. My worries disappeared, my morning sickness subsided, and I was able to return to work after my maternity leave ended. Every day, Melissa enjoys playing with her grandparents after school. The divorce proceedings went smoothly, thanks to my lawyer's support. I had ample evidence, which helped the process go in my favor. I demanded both compensation and child support payments from my ex-husband and sent a letter to his company asking them not to let him resign. His boss, who is married with children, saw the letter and was furious. He arranged for the company to deduct compensation and child support payments from my ex-husband's salary. With his boss always keeping a close eye on my ex-husband's actions, I felt reassured. He is facing challenges at work, making it unlikely that he will be able to quit his job easily. My ex-husband is financially struggling because he spent too much money on his mistress's lavish lifestyle. On top of that, having lost his home, he is forced to live in a cheap company dorm, which makes it hard for him to quit his job easily. Meanwhile, Betty and her father have now found peace. Betty has accepted her parents' divorce and seems to smile more compared to before. She told Melissa that she genuinely enjoys living with her father. Knowing that Betty is living a happy life brings genuine relief to my heart. Soon after, I gave birth to a lovely baby boy. The fact that my ex-husband can't hold our beloved son in his arms shows how foolish he was. When Melissa saw her adorable brother, she cheered with delight. I looked at both my beloved daughter and son and vowed in my heart to raise them well. Raising two children as a single parent is not easy, but I am determined to give them the best life possible. My parents have been incredibly supportive, helping me with the kids and offering emotional support. Seeing Melissa and my baby boy happy and thriving gives me the strength to keep going. My ex-husband's actions caused a lot of pain, but I am focused on the future. I want to create a loving and stable environment for my children. I have started to plan for our future, making sure that we have everything we need. My job is going well, and I am grateful for the stability it provides. Melissa has adjusted well to our new life. She enjoys school and has made new friends. She also loves spending time with her grandparents, who dote on her and her baby brother. Watching her grow and seeing her smile every day fills me with joy. As for my ex-husband, his life has changed drastically. Living in a cheap company dorm and facing financial difficulties, he is far from the lavish lifestyle he tried to maintain. He has lost the trust and respect of those around him. Despite everything, I hope he learns from his mistakes and becomes a better person. Moving forward, I am focused on my children's happiness and well-being. I want to provide them with a bright future and teach them the importance of love, respect, and honesty. Every day, I work hard to be the best mother I can be, knowing that my children are watching and learning from me. With the support of my family and the strength I have found within myself, I am confident that we will overcome any challenges that come our way. My children's smiles and laughter are the greatest reward, and I will do everything in my power to keep them happy and safe.